In January 2019, Daniel Hayes walked into his first period literature class at Westford High with a travel mug of black coffee and a mind still heavy from the morning's headlines. He was 32, recently divorced, and quietly nursing the humiliation of his ex-wife's affair with a coworker. Teaching had always been his refuge, the one place he could still feel respected. Westford High was an old brick building in a quiet Massachusetts town where gossip traveled faster than the morning bell. The faculty room buzzed with idle chatter about the new school year, the upcoming spring festival, and who might retire early. It was during attendance roll on the first day back that he noticed Clara Lewis, sitting in the far back row, hoodie up despite the heater working overtime, eyes fixed on the desk as if willing herself invisible. She was 17, a senior, and according to the guidance file, had recently transferred from another district after family complications. Clara didn't participate much in class at first. She answered questions only when called on, but when she did, it was with startling insight. While most students gave surface answers to "What is Hamlet really about?" she'd respond with, "It's about the paralysis of overthinking, how the fear of making the wrong choice destroys you faster than action ever could." Daniel found himself curious. Teachers weren't supposed to have favorites, but in private, they always did. In early February, Clara turned in an essay on The Great Gatsby that floored him. Her analysis of Gatsby's obsession as a self-inflicted wound disguised as romance read like it belonged in a college seminar. He wrote a note in the margin. "Have you considered publishing? You have real talent." The next day, she lingered after class. "What did you mean about publishing?" she asked. Daniel leaned against his desk. "You write better than most adults. You could submit to youth journals, contests, maybe even think about journalism." She looked down, fidgeting with the strings of her hoodie. "People don't really take me seriously." He told her they should meet after school once a week, so he could help her polish her writing. It started innocently. Tuesdays, the classroom empty except for the hum of the old ceiling fan. They talked about books, then about her life. Her mother was ill, she said, and her father wasn't in the picture. She lived with an aunt who treated her more like a tenant than family. Daniel felt himself softening toward her. She reminded him of his younger self, misunderstood, wanting someone to believe in him. By March, the sessions became more personal. One rainy Tuesday, the sky outside the classroom windows streaked with water. Clara arrived with 2 coffees. "You said you like yours black," she said, setting one on his desk. He smiled. "You didn't have to. I wanted to." Her tone was light, but the way she held his gaze was not. They began exchanging texts, first about books, then about movies, then about life in general.
Soon it was daily.
He justified it as harmless, but deep down, he knew the line had already been crossed. One Friday night, he was grading papers at home when her message appeared. "Clara, I wish I was talking to you in person right now." He stared at it for minutes before typing back. "Daniel, me too." That was the moment it stopped being professional. They began meeting outside of school, never in town. Clara suggested a small, dimly lit diner 2 towns over, where the waitress barely looked up from her notepad. They sat in a booth, laughing quietly, knees brushing under the table. She told him she'd never trusted anyone before him. He told her she was different from anyone he'd ever taught. When she left, she brushed her hand over his, a touch that lingered just a second too long. From that point, they were careful, no obvious affection in public, no lingering after school where someone could see. But the secrecy only made it more intoxicating. In April, Clara's grades in other classes started slipping. Teachers noticed. One of them, Ms. Green from history, mentioned to Daniel in the faculty lounge. "She's distracted lately. Spending too much time with you for tutoring, isn't she?" Daniel kept his tone neutral. "She's a bright student. I'm just helping her realize her potential." But he felt a knot in his stomach. Then came the first anonymous note in his desk. "I know about you and Clara." He tried to brush it off as a prank. But days later, he found his car keyed in the parking lot. Clara eventually admitted her ex-boyfriend, Jake, had seen her texting Daniel. Jake, she said, was jealous and vindictive. He had a record: petty theft, vandalism, fights. One night, Daniel's phone buzzed with a blocked number. A voice, young, male, dripping with malice, said, "She's mine. You go near her again, I'll bury you." Daniel confronted Clara the next day. She was furious, swearing she'd handle Jake herself. That weekend, Jake followed Daniel's car halfway home before peeling off. On Monday, a photo appeared in Daniel's school mailbox, him and Clara in the diner booth. Daniel was ready to end things. He called Clara to his classroom after school, telling her they couldn't keep seeing each other. She looked at him like he'd just ripped her life apart. "You don't understand," she said. "I can't lose you. You're the only good thing I have." He told her to let it go. She left without another word. That Friday, Jake went missing. Police started asking questions. Students whispered in the hallways. Clara told Daniel she hadn't seen Jake in days, but there was something in her voice. Calm. Too calm. 3 days later, Jake's body was found in the woods. Cause of death: blunt force trauma. When Daniel asked Clara again, she met his eyes without blinking. "I took care of it. For us." Daniel's stomach turned. He asked what she meant, but she just said, "You're safe now." Detectives came to Daniel's classroom to ask a few questions. They knew about his contact with Clara. They had phone records, diner surveillance footage, and witness statements from students who'd seen them leaving together. When Clara was arrested, she refused to implicate him, but she told the police. "He didn't know I was going to do it, but I did it for him." Daniel was still charged: corruption of a minor and obstruction of justice. The trial dragged for months. The media called it the teacher's affair that ended in murder. Parents in town pulled their kids from Westford High. Clara was sentenced to 20 years. Daniel got 5. On the day of sentencing, she looked over at him and whispered, "Still yours." From prison, she sent him a letter every year on the anniversary of Jake's death. Each one said the same 4 words: "Still yours. Always will." And Daniel, sitting in his small apartment after his release, would burn them without reading further, because the truth was, a part of him still missed her.